Coach Fred Gallagher from WLKY. Just talk about the 6 weeks out from the season starting, if it starts on time, with cases spiking everywhere. Are you concerned that you're not going to start on time, or just where's your head at? What do you tell your players?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know exactly when we're going to start. Right now, we're planning on, what the date that we have, September 2nd, until something changes. So the same thing we tell our players, we control what you can control. So right now it's for us just, doing our workouts on a daily basis as a staff, doing the things we need to do to get ready and prepared for when we do start. And if they do push it back, we always can adjust that. That's going to be easy, I think. Right now we got a great plan as we move forward for September 2nd. If we do push the season back a week, 2, 3 weeks, whatever it may be, then we're going to adjust that, and we got a good plan for that as well. So right now we're just kind of, wait and see where everything takes it.
Scott, Russ Brown with Kentucky Today. Could you explain exactly this next phase you're moving into with the summer instructions, what you'll do exactly?
Yeah, I mean, essentially what we got, the next phase for us is going to be the where they changing the hours, where you can have some meetings now, 6 hours worth of meetings and 6 worth of walkthroughs with a ball. We've never done this before. It's the first time we're kind of doing this. This is kind of part of that 6-week return to play protocol. Essentially, start the first week of that starts for us this week. Actually tomorrow, and but what we're doing with that is again, we're meeting with our guys positionally for 30 minutes, and then we're going out on the field and doing a walkthrough for probably around 45, 50-minute walkthrough. So really it's kind of a gradual build up to some practice. You're going to do that right there for roughly 2 weeks, 9 days. And then that'll take us right into the 1st of August, which will be, right when we start our practices. So it's really just kind of a gear up. It's mainly what this is. These 9 days are going to be really mental. It's a lot of mental learning. Just really for us, we're just kind of installing offense, defense, special teams, all 3 phases, and doing our install phase for these next 2 weeks.
Scott, this is Ken Spencer with WHAS 11. Since spring practice got shut down, have you ever looked forward to a walkthrough more?
Well, I really look forward to being out with our guys, and so we were able to do that last week for a couple of days, not long really, but just to get out there on the field and see those guys running around was unbelievable for us. So yeah, we're so looking forward to it, to get out there on the field, talk some football, see the guys move around, and hopefully continue to grow and to build throughout this the next whatever we have here, the next few weeks before hopefully we play our first game.
Scott, hey, it's Jody Dillon with Cardinal Authority.
Go ahead, Jody.
Go ahead. Do you have everybody back on campus at this point, or all of your guys back on campus? And then after that, can you just kind of comment on the 2 transfers that you announced this morning?
We do not have everyone back right now. We've got 3 phases of guys that are back for us. I think where our numbers right around like 87, 88, right in that range. So not everyone, but this, that probably excludes a few guys that were on our team last year, and then it excludes some of the additional walk-ons that we're going to have coming in. And so we're kind of waiting to see when and if we start practicing where that's going to be to where we'll bring those guys in, because a lot of those guys, the last 20 guys are going to be some of your scout team type guys. We're really not working scout team stuff right now, so that's really down the road with that. Basically for these guys that just got here, the 2 guys that you just mentioned, one's going to play a defensive backfield for us, and then the other is going to be a wide receiver. And so both transfer guys. One's going to be basically a senior's got 1 year. The other has 3. So, again, just giving us some additional depth on the team there. Particularly one of the thought process going into that with the grad transfer from North Carolina was that, just bringing a little bit more experience. And in this year of uncertainty, if you got some guys that are going to be out, you want to have some more skilled guys to where you can play, particularly on special teams and or fill in the wide receiver room as well. So that was that addition. And Coach Brew had a relationship with Roscoe, so knew him and felt really good about bringing him on, just his work ethic. And, another guy that can run, speed guy as well. didn't catch a ton of balls in North Carolina, but we feel like, can add to us in the special team aspect, but also give us some depth at wide receiver room.
Scott, Rick Bozich at WDRB. Best case scenario, when were you hoping, or when are you hopeful to start official practice, and when might guys get pads on?
Well, our first practice right now is August 4th. And that's our first start date, and so kind of planning on that date right there to get started. And when you do that, and you got the acclimatization period, a few days of helmets before you can put some shoulder pads on. So soon after that, we'll put shoulder pads on and start going from there. So, we're kind of sitting, I know the ACC, our commissioner, has made a statement of they're pushing some decisions back to the end of July to kind of see where our schedule, if it changes, if and when, and then where we're going to start our season. So really, we've got a plan to start on that August 4th date, but we can adjust whenever we need to, if we need to, whenever they come out with an announcement.
Scott, this is Jerry Tipton with the Herald Leader in Lexington. Obviously, some of the Power 5 conferences are going to conference-only games. If the ACC or the SEC does that, there'd be no Louisville-Kentucky game. What does that game mean in the big picture?
Well, we obviously want to play that football game. There's no question about it. For our state that we live in here, great rivalry game. One that we look forward to every single year. So we obviously hope we play the game. There's no question about it. If our schedule does get tweaked a little bit and you play some conference games, and then hopefully we'll be able to squeeze in another game and play the guys down in Lexington. So hopefully we'll be able to play the game. I don't know. We're like everybody else, kind of sit and wait and see and see what happens. But I want to play as many games as we can play on this schedule, however what the guys allow us to do. That's what we want to do. So, hopefully it's a full schedule. If it's not, if it's modified a little bit, hopefully that game will still be on the schedule.
Scott, Russ Brown again. To follow up what Jerry asked, do you realistically expect the ACC to follow the lead of the Pac-12 and the Big Ten and some others and say you're just going to play conference games? You expect that?
I really don't know how that's going to go. I think, you can kind of look and infer kind of what some of these conferences are trying to do. I think you do have more control when it's within your own league to who you're playing, when you're playing, how you're playing those games. I think that's probably the gist of the move to the conference-only schedules with some of these conferences. So I can see why they're doing it. Just because of the flexibility you have in scheduling. Again, as I mentioned, I'd love to play our schedule that we have on our board right now, the all 12 teams that we have on there. It's not looking like we're going to do that with some of the other conferences that have already made some announcements. So it would certainly not be surprising if we did something like where we're playing, mostly conference games.
Scott Cameron from the Courier-Journal. I know you said you guys are planning to start practice on the 4th of August. So kind of a two-part question here for you. One, as the guys have gotten back, how have you seen them shape-wise since they were kind of gone for so many months? And then two, you look at you mentioned kind of your install period. How much are you guys going to install? I know you guys have a good base of what you guys have already, but how much more do you feel like there is to install into either offensively or defensively?
Well, going back to the spring, we were able to get half our spring practices in, which was a luxury for us. A lot of teams were not able to do that. So that helped, and that was very beneficial. But, now we have some newcomers that are here, some of the guys that we signed that were not here in the spring. So they're a part of the team now. And so at this point, you kind of got to go back to the beginning. And so we'll go back to installed like day one stuff, and then we'll take our time doing that. We got these 2 weeks here where we can kind of install. And so we'll go back to the basics and do that for these 2 weeks. And then you'll kind of start back over. We mentioned August 4th. We'll kind of come to August 4th and start back over with our install. A lot of it's going to be determined how well our guys grasp it. I really feel good about our first guys, offense and defense. We've got a lot of guys back and that are very familiar with our terminology and what we're trying to do. So I think we can escalate some of the install as far as that goes with a lot of our veterans. But then as you look to guys that are newcomers, now you really got to be careful. If they're having to play or if they're in the game, you got to be a little bit less of the installation. So So I don't know. We'll kind of play that by ear as we go through things and kind of see where we are. But certainly feel so much better. Like, if you look a year ago from where we were a year ago to right now, I feel a lot better about it. As far as the install goes and what we'll be able to do. I hope we'll be able to grow and build off of what we did last year and just kind of piggyback off of that. And I think as far as with the guys in shape, and it was certainly a difference when they got here compared to where it was in the past. These guys, for the most part, as the first phase, we had, I think, 40-some guys, 43 or 4 guys. They were really, really good. You added the next group, not as good, So now we got, roughly in the mid 80s or upper 80s. And so you're getting a little bit of a mix of everything. And so I think, we're not where we were last year at this time, but we're not that far off. I think, these next few weeks right here, hopefully in about 2-3 more weeks, we get in the first week of August or second week in August, I feel like we'll have caught up and kind of be where we were last year at that same time.
Coach Fred Cowgill again from WLKY. Are you comfortable as you move forward that your student athletes are safe? They, with the COVID and the exponential jumps both in Kentucky and elsewhere, are you concerned about putting your guys in the line of fire?
Well, for me, and I know everybody's got an opinion on this, and I think we all feel like we got some sort of knowledge on this. I guess probably enough to be dangerous, all of us. But the way I see it is when we have our guys here, and our guys have done a tremendous job. Matt Summers, our trainer, and our medical people have done a great job with the protocols that we have in place here in our building. For our staff, for our student athletes, everybody that's involved here. I feel very comfortable while they're here. Where I don't feel as comfortable is when the guys are out just living life like everybody else. So if that is the way you've kind of figured all this stuff out, then to me you want them over here more so than you want them out there, right? And I know people. There's obviously a big debate: should you go to school? Should you practice? Should you play? Should you do all these things? Well, here's what I do know: everybody's going to live life. And if I'm not participating in sports and I'm an athlete, then what am I going to do? I worry about their mental health. I worry about that side of it because you can go to high school kids, junior high kids. If they're involved in sports, that's what they love to do. That's what they want to do. But if they're not doing sports, what are they doing? They're going to have to occupy and fill that time, that space doing something. Well, I think they're going to be out and about and carrying on like they always would and maybe pick up the virus that way. So I feel like that when they are occupied their time doing what they love to do as athletes and being over here, we have the protocols set in place. I just think, and I think mentally, and they're in such better place when they're here training and playing ball. So I worry more about not playing than I do playing, to answer your question.
Scott Cameron again. Obviously,
Spencer with WHAS 11. But when you guys start playing games, you guys won't just be playing against yourselves, that environment that you can control. So do you have to have a level of trust about the opponents that you play have practiced the right protocols in order to keep everybody safe? Because at that point, it's a little bit of an unknown.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that goes back to what the question earlier about conference play. I think if you do keep it in your conference, then you have your protocols within your whole league that everybody has to address, whether it be testing on a weekly basis. All right. And what are you doing in your facility when your athletes come over? If they do have symptoms, you're setting them out. You're isolating them. Anybody that's traced with them, you're isolating them. So I think within your league, you can put those protocols in place to where you do get to game day. You've already had that in place for that week. We're trusting each school to do that. Then when you get to game day, you feel pretty good about it. Now, obviously, it's an ongoing situation. Every single day is different. But I think the way we've set it up that way, it's the safest possible to be able to play.
Scott Cameron with Courage Journal again. Obviously, this is a time of the year where it's supposed to be exciting for a lot of people because you're getting ready to play football, and I know it usually is inside the program, so for the coaching staff. But for you, when you have to have so many different scenarios going around your head, what is this time like for you personally as you kind of try to maneuver through the unknown and uncertainty going on?
Well, I think that's the hardest thing that we're all dealing with, and when we started this shutdown in March, the uncertainty. I think and I talked about the mental health, and it's bad. The mental health is hard on these youngsters. But it's hard on us guys too. I mean, everybody on this screen right here, us adults. I mean, it's the uncertainty. It's like, what's going to happen? What, am I going to have a job? Am I going to be able to do this? I mean, all these things run through your head. And like for our guys and our players, it's are we going to play? What am I doing? What am I working out for? Why am I lifting these weights and running if we're not going to play? All the uncertainty is the hardest part of this whole thing. So, but like I told our guys and I told our staff, I mean, you got to control what you can control. And so that is, the safe practice things that you can do, when you're away from the building. And then when you're here, adhering to all the protocols that we have. And as coaching staff, we have plans in place and contingency plans. And we've talked about all these things about what we can and can't do and what we'll need to do moving forward. So, but it's like, what can we do today to get better, and how are we going to do that? And so we'll worry about today. And then I think tomorrow we'll worry about tomorrow. I think it's so hard, I think, to try to project and to see where we're going to be and all that. But we can focus on today and to hear it now. And I think that's why we've been successful, as a program of doing things and staying in the here and now. And that's what we got to continue to do, because it can get overwhelming if you start to think about the what ifs. And so we try not to think about those things. We think about what can we do today, and what's our plan for today. And so that's kind of where we're focusing everything, one day at a time. And hopefully when you do it that way, and we've kind of proven that, our guys got in here in the first part of January. We're almost to August now. I think we've done an outstanding job for these last month and a half with our guys. Most of the guys have not missed anything. They're training. They've gotten themselves back into shape. They're excited to be back on the field and to get some things going. So we feel good about what we've been able to accomplish the last month and a half, and moving forward, I feel very confident that we can play football and we can practice and we can do it in a safe manner. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, when you're out and about, you can pick this virus up just as easy as you can anywhere else. So I feel confident about our guys here and the protocols that we put in place.
Scott, this is Dominique Yates with the Courier-Journal. You touched on it earlier about the installation period with these guys, and you said, you have to wait and see, but you do feel confident that they'll be able to kind of pick it up. But do you envision a scenario that if the season starts on time that you don't have everything that you want installed and have to kind of add it as the season moves along?
I don't think so. I feel really good about it. I feel like if you said we're going to play in a couple of weeks, that we could put a great product on the field. Like in 2 weeks. I mean, I feel that good about it. I mean, because like I mentioned earlier, we got a bunch of veterans. We got a bunch of guys that played a bunch of ball on both sides of the ball, and they've feel really good about what we're doing right now. I feel like, man, if you gave us a couple of weeks, we could be ready to go. As the way it looks right now, we got 6 or 7 weeks before September 2nd. So we got plenty of time, I think, to be able to get our stuff in and be ready to go.
Scott, hey, it's Jody Dimley again with Cardinal Authority. You, Tutu and McHale and Hawk have gotten some preseason accolades nationally. You guys didn't have that last year. The expectations are different, obviously, on the outside. Do you have to talk to them about anything about dealing with that kind of pressure, if it be All-American or anything like that?
No, I think we keep everybody pretty grounded around here. It's kind of hard to get a big head around here because somebody's going to bust your bubble real quick. So we just want to be the best. Each person be the best, and then our team be the best. And so we're competing on a daily basis. And what you did yesterday or what you did last year don't really matter. I mean, it really don't. As you go into last season, it really didn't matter what we did the year before, right? I mean, we ended up winning 8 games. So it doesn't matter what we did this past year, winning all those games. I mean, it's going to be a new team, a new chemistry, new guys in the mix. So we're got to work hard every single day and hopefully go out in that first game and let the guys produce. The thing that we do have that I do like about all this team here, and you mentioned some individual players that are really good, but I love the fact that these guys have been through the battles. They're kind of battle tested. We got the same coaching staff that we had last year. You look at the defensive side, it's the first time in 5 years with the same defensive coordinator. Those are the things I'm encouraged about. But I think our guys, man, they work hard. They're going to put the work in, no matter if they're getting nominated for an All-American or if nobody knows their name. They're still going to work hard and compete for their jobs each and every day.
Scott, Cameron again. Obviously, you had mentioned Roscoe, but Contrell Clark's obviously a transfer from Liberty. obviously has 3 years of eligibility left. I imagine he's going to put in a waiver to become immediately eligible. And do you have any kind of thoughts on which way that might go, you think?
No, I know he's going to put the waiver in. I don't know. As you guys probably follow it more than I do. I've just seen some on the news where guys have been granted immediate eligibility. So, I obviously hope he gets it for his sake. I mean, he felt like he needed to get out of a situation where he was at there, and he's kind of got a fresh start, a new start, and so we'll see what happens. We've got a plan either way, if he can play now or if he can't. So. We're excited to get him. We think he's a great player and a hard worker, and he's going to fit our culture great. And so we're just excited to get him here, and hopefully, it'll work out regardless. It'd be great to be able to have him this year, just, to give us some more depth in the defensive backfield.
Scott, this is
Gary Graves. What AP? What have you noticed with the progress with guys' skills, mechanics? With these practices, I mean, how much more advanced do you see guys like your quarterbacks, your running backs?
Yeah. Well, we haven't been around them much. I've only been out there 2 days last week, just for 30 minutes. So it really hadn't been that much, and we didn't have any balls out there. So I know this: they're working hard. They're ready to go out on the field. They're ready to prove, that they've gotten better. Cunningham's working his tail off. I know that. Puma Pass is working extremely hard. And Evan Conley, he works as hard as anybody on our team. So, I mean, all 3 of those guys have worked their tails off. And, guys like C.J. Avery and Dorian Etheridge, I mean, they're great leaders for us, and they're working hard as well. And Dez, man, Dez Fitzpatrick's been here a long time, and he's putting the work in. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. I think he can have a really big year for us. Tutu is Tutu. I mean, he's fast as all get out. So, I mean, so I'm just excited about these guys. I'm ready, hopefully we'll be on that field soon and be able to practice. And so these next 2 weeks will be fun. But again, it's just a walkthrough, so you're not able to get out there and run around much. So until we get into practices, you'll have a lot better gauge, I think, once that happens in August.
Scott, this is John Lewis at WDRB. Have you talked to any of the players who have expressed any apprehension about practicing or playing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talk. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, as in a group setting, we've also had some smaller settings where we talk to some guys. A lot of it stems around the what ifs and the unknown and all those type things. It's and I told all those guys, I'm like, listen, guys, if you don't feel comfortable being here, go home. We'll still take care of your school, and you'll still be on scholarship. But but if you just want to go to school and not play ball this year because you feel feared, I'm like, hey, listen, go ahead and do that. I mean, I don't, so I don't want anybody here that has the apprehension of not playing. I mean, but I'm sure there's going to be questions, and there is about some of them. But again, when you put like, all right, what are you going to do? Are you just going to go home and sit in your bubble and not do anything? I mean, you're not going to live your life. You're not going to go or do you want to try to play some ball in a safe manner with all our protocols? Like, what do you guys want to do? And they all want to play. I mean, they want to be here. They want to play. This is what they love doing. They want to do it in a safe manner. They want to be taken care of, and we're doing everything we can to make that happen. So, but certainly there's going to be some wondering, some thoughts. We all have that, like everybody does. But we just want to do it in a safe manner, and that's what we're doing. I hope nobody gets the virus. I hope nobody gets sick. The reality of that is probably not happening. I mean, somebody's probably going to get it the way it's spreading. We know that, but we're trying to do it. We want to live life. We want to play ball, but we also want to do it in a safe manner. It's going to be different. It's not going to be the same. There's no question about that. And so, we're all going to have to make some adjustments. We're all going to have to do some things that we really don't want to do. We're not used to doing. We know that. So, but we're doing everything we can in order to make that happen.
Scott, Jerry Tipton again. I think I saw something about the NFL thinking about special equipment maybe like plexiglass face shields on the helmets or something like that. Do you have any insight into maybe modifications that could be made?
Not really. I mean, I've seen the shield that somebody's put out there, and I don't know what kind of precautions, if we're going to have those, or if we're going to have some kind of face covering while they're playing with the helmet on. I just know that it's going to be really hard if you have a shield that covers your whole face to be able to breathe for these guys. some of these guys, because we've had guys to wear just the face, the eye shield, where you still can breathe down here. And I've even had guys have trouble breathing with that. So I think it would be really hard to breathe with it coming all the way down. I saw a tweet. I think J.J. Watt said, guys, it's impossible to play with that. So I don't know about that. We've looked into some other things as far as some face coverings to be able to put that on, while we're out there. So, we'll see. Again, we're learning just like everybody else as we move along with this to see what the best practice may be with that.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.